Imagine living in a place where every day is a struggle for survival. This is the reality for the people of Gaza. In this tiny coastal territory, wedged between Israel and Egypt, life is a daily battle. The ongoing conflict between Israel and Palestine has left the region in a state of constant turmoil. It's a chess game of power and control, with ordinary people caught in the crossfire. The living conditions in Gaza are harsh at best. With over 2 million residents crammed into a space just twice the size of Washington, D.C., it's one of the most densely populated places on Earth. Infrastructure is crumbling and resources are scarce. Clean water, reliable electricity, access to healthcare, these basic necessities are a luxury for many. The economic situation is dire. With restrictions on trade and movement, unemployment rates are soaring, particularly among the young. Many families rely on humanitarian aid just to get by. And then there's the constant threat of violence: airstrikes, rocket attacks, protests turned bloody. These are not isolated incidents, but a part of everyday life. The psychological toll is immense, especially on children who've known nothing but conflict. But it's not just about the physical hardships. There's the emotional burden too. The sense of isolation, the fear, the hopelessness. It's a crisis that goes beyond borders, beyond politics. It's about human lives, human rights, human dignity. In the midst of all this, the people of Gaza show extraordinary resilience. Despite the hardships, they persist, they resist, they hope, but they shouldn't have to. No one should have to live like this. The crisis in Gaza is not just a political issue, but a humanitarian one that affects millions of lives every day. To understand the crisis, we must go back to its roots. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict is not a recent phenomenon. It's a complex and deeply rooted issue, and its beginnings can be traced back to the middle of the 20th century. In 1948, following the horrors of World War II, the State of Israel was established. This was a milestone moment for the Jewish people, who had long sought a homeland. However, the land chosen for the new state was already inhabited by another group, the Palestinians. This set the stage for a conflict that has spanned over 7 decades and counting. From this point, the situation escalated rapidly. The creation of Israel led to a mass displacement of Palestinians, an event known as Nakba, or the catastrophe. This displacement was the first major spark in the conflict, fueling a fire of resentment and hostility that has continued to burn. Over the years, this conflict has intensified, with both sides laying claim to the same land. Battles have been fought, peace treaties have been signed and broken, and the world has watched as the situation has spiraled into a seemingly endless cycle of violence. The Gaza Strip in particular has been a focal point of this conflict. The tiny coastal region is home to nearly 2 million Palestinians, many of whom live in dire conditions. The area has been under a blockade by Israel since 2007, following the takeover of the Strip by Hamas, an organization Israel, the US, and the EU consider a terrorist group. This blockade has severely restricted the movement of people and goods in and out of Gaza, leading to a humanitarian crisis. The people of Gaza face daily struggles, from a lack of basic necessities like clean water and electricity, to the constant threat of violence. The seeds sown by this conflict have grown into a tree of despair and hardship for the people of Gaza. The crisis in Gaza did not happen overnight. It is the result of decades of escalating tension and conflict. Let's take a step back to June of 1967, a time that marked the beginning of an intensified conflict, known as the Six-Day War. This short but impactful war saw Israel gain control over several territories, including the Gaza Strip. The consequences of this war are still felt today, as the Gaza Strip remains under Israeli control, leading to a significant rise in tension and conflict. Fast forward to the late 80s, a period marked by the First Intifada, an uprising against Israeli rule. This was a time of violent clashes, strikes, boycotts, and civil disobedience. The First Intifada was a clear indication of the frustration and desperation felt by the Palestinians, who were seeking self-determination. The turn of the millennium brought with it the Second Intifada, also known as the Al-Aqsa Intifada. This was a period of intensified Israeli-Palestinian violence. The Second Intifada was marked by a wave of suicide bombings and shooting attacks, resulting in a high death toll on both sides. In the year 2008, the Gaza War, also known as Operation Cast Lead, took place. This was a 3-week armed conflict between Palestinians and Israeli forces. The war resulted in a significant loss of life and destruction of property, further deepening the crisis in Gaza. The impact of these major events has been profound. Each one has contributed to the escalation of the crisis in Gaza, leading to a cycle of violence that seems to be unending. The people of Gaza have been living under a blockade since 2007, which has severely restricted the movement of people and goods, exacerbating the humanitarian crisis. Each event has left a deep scar on the people of Gaza, pushing them further into a state of crisis. The trauma of these historical events continues to reverberate through the generations, making the path to peace and stability an uphill battle. Today, the people of Gaza live in a state of constant crisis. The current situation in Gaza is dire, with the people facing a multitude of challenges on a daily basis. The most pressing of these is the lack of access to basic necessities. The region has been under blockade for over a decade, leading to severe shortages of essentials such as food, water, medicine, and fuel. This has resulted in a humanitarian crisis, with thousands of people struggling to meet their basic needs. The infrastructure in Gaza is in a state of disrepair. The water supply system is on the verge of collapse, with 95% of the water unfit for human consumption. The electricity supply is erratic at best, with power cuts being a daily occurrence. This has made it difficult for hospitals to operate and for children to study, further exacerbating the crisis. The continuous violence has taken a heavy toll on the people of Gaza. The frequent outbreaks of conflict have resulted in a high casualty rate and widespread destruction. The psychological impact of the violence is profound, with many people, especially children, suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. The economic situation is equally grim. The blockade and the destruction of infrastructure have crippled the local economy, leading to high unemployment rates and widespread poverty. The majority of the population is dependent on aid for survival, but the delivery of aid is often hindered by the ongoing conflict. The crisis in Gaza is not a static one, it is constantly evolving and escalating. Despite numerous attempts at negotiation and mediation, a lasting solution seems elusive. The situation is further complicated by the political instability in the region and the lack of a unified leadership. The people of Gaza are resilient and have shown remarkable courage in the face of adversity. However, the magnitude of the crisis is such that it cannot be overcome without external intervention. There is a pressing need for the international community to step in and help alleviate the suffering of the people of Gaza. The crisis in Gaza is a ticking time bomb with the potential to explode at any moment. The crisis in Gaza is not an isolated issue. It has far-reaching implications that affect us all. In the realm of global security, the Gaza crisis poses a significant threat. The ongoing conflict has created a hotbed for extremist ideologies to flourish and spread, not just within the region but across the globe. It's like a domino effect, as instability in one area can easily spill over into others, potentially destabilizing the delicate balance of international security. The crisis also has a profound impact on human rights. The people of Gaza have been living under harsh conditions for years, with limited access to basic necessities like clean water, electricity, and healthcare. This is not just a regional concern, but a global one. It underscores the need for the international community to uphold the fundamental principles of human rights, regardless of where violations occur. In terms of international relations, the crisis has been a source of division among nations. Some countries side with Israel, others with Palestine, creating a polarized international landscape. This division is not conducive to fostering cooperation and unity among nations, which is essential in dealing with other global challenges such as climate change and the ongoing pandemic. The crisis also underscores the urgent need for a resolution. The longer the conflict drags on, the more entrenched the divisions become, and the harder it becomes to find a peaceful solution. It's a complex issue with no easy answers, but it's clear that a resolution is needed, not just for the sake of the people on the ground, but for the sake of global peace and stability. The crisis in Gaza is a testament to our shared humanity, a call to action for us all to work towards a peaceful resolution. As we come to the end of our journey, let's remember the people of Gaza. We've traversed the unseen crisis, delved into the roots of the conflict, witnessed the escalation, and grappled with the current scenario. The implications are far-reaching, affecting not just the people in the region but reverberating around the world. The severity of the crisis is undeniable. It's a stark reminder of the human cost of conflict and the urgent need for a resolution. The situation in Gaza is not a distant issue but a pressing global concern. It's a crisis that demands our attention, our empathy, and most importantly, our action. We've seen the resilience of the people of Gaza, their struggle for survival, and their longing for peace. It's a testament to the indomitable spirit of humanity, even in the face of the most daunting challenges. In the face of such adversity, we are reminded of our shared responsibility to work towards peace and justice. The crisis in Gaza is not just their crisis but ours too.